How do?
Evening, Stephen. Usual.
Aye, by the best.
How's your Derek?
Aye, grand, I think. Well, he was meant to be off gallivanting with young Samuel. Said he never turned up. That's Samuel, though. Hope he's not come to any misfortune.
Well, he was in here earlier, Samuel, showing the tourists about, helping them with their luggage. Maybe he got distracted.
All right. Maybe, aye.
Aye. So, did you meet our newest visitors?
I did indeed. Seemed an odd bunch to be together, in all honesty. Yeah, interest in the books, though, so that's promising. They stopped in here then, did they?
They did. Asking about lodging. That woman's another thing entirely. That lady. Here's your pint.
Cheers.
So, any sales then?
Aye. I grabbed a couple of pieces. Smugglers, wildlife. One of me own.
All power to you.
Thanks. Taking up residence here then, have they?
No. Said they were booked in up yonder. Boggle.
Oh.
Here, go on then, John. Grab the cloth. You know where it is.
Oh.
You know, it wouldn't be right to go poaching bookings, especially under the circumstances.
Aye.
Besides, the manor didn't exactly ingratiate me to him.
Aye. No. You reckon they made the hill, then?
Young Jack brought their trunks up for him.
Young Jack. Young Jack's too sure of himself. He forgets the old dangers.
Young Jack's fine. He remembers. And it's only guests anyway. Probably just hunting the fossils.
Probably. And it's not far, I suppose. With help.
Aye.
As the crow flies.
Stephen.
Sorry. I'll settle myself over here. Cheers, Sally.
Cheers, Stephen. They'll be grand. Yes, what can I get you?
Oh, they'll be grand. Grand. Well, they'll find their fossils, all right. Their beasties. Their dragons. What they cost them, though. They have not thought of that. They have not thought of that. Lovely drop.
The Apocalypse Players present A Residence at the Bay, a Call of Cthulhu 7th edition scenario written by Danann McAleer in the style of M.R. James. With Joseph Chance as Dr. Henry Carrick-Muir, Dan Wheeler as Reverend Peregrine McCutcheon, Dominic Allen as Lady Helen Marjorie Barmere Potts, and Danann McAleer as the Keeper of Arcane Lore. Part 2. The Doldrums.
Is there any sign of this, the man with the bags?
No, but you assume he's been there already? He certainly set off before you. He had quite a pace about him.
But we didn't see him coming back.
No, you didn't.
Presumably
I'll go and knock on the door or open the door. Does it look like the sort of place where you just walk in?
It looks sort of like it's odd. It looks like a seaside bed and breakfast, but because it's on its own, it seems slightly odd. But yeah, it has that vibe. There's a little wooden sign by the gate to the sort of what you might call a front garden, although there's nothing within it that's without of it. And the Bogglehole Guest House. So you go up and give it a little rap, and you hear a voice saying, "I'll get it." And the door opens, and you see the young fisherman you'd seen earlier, who took the bag up and went, well, there you are now. Didn't took me too long. It's a bit of a sludge, isn't it? Bit of a sludge isn't the word. What is it? You get the impression he's had a couple of ales since he's got there. And he said, trudge, that's the one.
A trek?
A trudge. Not a sludge. Anyway, your case is inside. This is, here, Peter, June, come introduce yourselves. You hear a sort of bit of bustle off from inside, and this huge, hulking figure moves into view.
That'll be June.
It's Peter in his 50s. He's got so many tattoos, his arms look like lumps of Stilton. But he...
He's not the lawyer, is he?
Oh, aye. Peter Ainsworth, lawyer.
Polly!
Call me Polly. And he headbutts you. No, he comes out and he says... oh, aye, you're our new guests, are you? Jack said there'd be someone coming up. Well, we got your bags, and then you see this sort of busy-looking, sort of bustling woman behind him, maybe a bit younger, but sort of steel hair, like pink sort of jumper or something, and she's, "Oh, hello, I'm just getting everything ready. Don't worry. Have a drink if you like. Have a drink." And she disappears.
Oh,
again.
that would be very kind. Oh, she's gone.
Right, you're coming in.
Please, we were hoping to meet a friend here.
Aye.
Robert Thompson.
Oh, Mr. Thompson. Aye, well, you may have just missed him. He left a couple of days ago.
Psychology.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to dress it up. I'm just
No.
McCutcheon is immediately just pissed off.
Yeah. It's not quite a critical fail.
I'm
hot.
I mean,
even in the January air, I put my case down. I'm a bit grumpy.
You don't know this guy. It's hard to gauge someone's
nothing to read
peculiars when you don't know them yet.
I
he
think,
seems like just a gruff Yorkshireman.
Actually, it's such a bad role. I think is it equal to? Is 95? Is it equal to, or is it above 95? It's such a high roll. I'm going to give us this anyway because I should have introduced it earlier. Really, I think he's grumpy and he puts his case down, and the bag that he's always been holding in his left hand, he wipes the sweat from his brow, even in the January cool, and the other two of you see that his bag is tied to his hand in a sash cord, and it's wrapped around the handle. And he still doesn't let go of it. He just kind of grips it, and you can see his knuckles are white.
Oh. Peter continues. He just sort of says, "Aye. So, well, if you're friends of his, you're welcome here. He was quiet enough. Come through. I'll get you an ale or whatever you're after."
That would be fine. An ale would be fine.
And as you go in, he sort of leads you through, and Jack follows him. And it's a really thin, sort of narrow hallway, and you can see stairs, very steep stairs up to your left. A room at the back which sort of smells like it might be the kitchen, and then in the room on the right, the wall on the right, there's a sort of wooden and sort of blurry glass door, and he slides that open and leads you through, and it's this very cramped room. Probably the biggest room on the ground floor, you imagine, but seems to triple as a dining room, sitting room, and bar. Cushions, stacks of cushions everywhere. stacks of books, magazines, old sort of digests and things like that. A couple of tables and chairs, and then a little corner bar at the end. And he says, he heads over to the corner bar and says, "What's your poison?"
A local ale for me, Lady Marjorie.
Scotch and soda.
Scotch and what?
Scotch and soda.
What's that? Fizzy?
A whiskey and sparkling water.
Right. I'll see what I can do.
Well,
He starts rummaging around.
let's make
behind
that 2. I'll have both.
the bar. I see. You staying tonight then?
Well, I think that's quite likely. But do you mind if we just have a brief conversation while we have our drinks, and we'll make a decision about that?
You have a conversation as much as you like. Head out and look at the view if you want. No need being cooped up in here. I'll bring your drinks out to you, or you can sit down. He bustles
very
out
kind.
towards the kitchen, and you hear a little call from you assume his wife upstairs going, "Shall I make up 3 rooms? Did you ask?" He's like, "They're not sure yet." She went, "Oh right, oh that's a shame." And that sort of yeah, that's all you hear.
I think Carrick Muir takes out his almanac and sees whether there's any information about return trains. But is doing so
If it's
not so much because he wants to go, but more as a sort of last ditch if it really comes to it, and this is all just a dead loss. What are the exit strategies? Because he's beginning to sense maybe we're here, and maybe we do need to spend the night. And ultimately, in his heart, I know that I've got to go to those cliffs, and I've got to see if I can find something.
I mean, realistically, you could make it back to Whitby and potentially the last train in time.
Let's do it.
At a push. Yeah, you're absolutely welcome.
What could possibly go wrong?
But I mean, there's something. Although, well, only one of you did a psychology roll, and there's no reason to think they're lying. The fact that Robert sort of so excitedly invited you here, and then seems to have disappeared 2 days previous.
It's strange.
Even for Robert, that's unusual. Flighty.
Seems odd.
Is it possible to do a follow-up psychology roll, even as a push roll, if necessary?
Yeah, absolutely. What are you trying to find out? I mean, are you engaging him in conversation to ask this? And then sort of seeing what lies beneath?
No, I'm watching the conversation that they're having.
Right. Yeah.
Like this, but like this.
On your fucking...
Eyes wild, hunched over, sort of quite invasively in their conversation.
Remind me, have you actually worked with Miriam Margolyes?
No.
Because it's so accurate. It's
Uncanny.
it's weird how much it reminds me of her. Anyway.
Oh yeah, didn't you drive her up to?
Oh my
Scotland
god! I
one
mean,
time?
yeah, I've got a lot of time. I've got a lot of time for her, but I know her quite. I mean, I know her as well as you do when you've spent a lot of time with someone.
Hot
So who are you watching, Dom? You're watching Peter and
June.
Henry having this conversation.
Yes,
or-
yeah, exactly so.
So I think he's right. Fine.
Go on.
All
Before
you
he
know
leaves.
of these
Yeah.
people is like Jack, the fisherman you met. He literally shouted out, "Peter, June, come introduce yourselves." You've not asked anything more about them. You assume they're the landlords. They seem
Now, are we counting this as a pushed roll or not?
I don't know if you need to count it as a push roll because you've not already analysed, have you?
Well, in that case, I'm going to push the roll because I have failed my
Per
psychology roll.
ship. Per
I see.
I'm going to push it by saying, "Wait a moment, landlord, proprietor,"
Aye.
and I get right up in his face. "What were you saying about dear Robert? I was half asleep. I've been having a very long day. I'm a very old woman. What did you say about him?"
I didn't say anything about him. I just said he was a good guest, quiet, kept to himself. Yeah. Kept us
So you're saying-
entertained for about a week.
So you're saying he's gone?
Oh, he left 2 days ago, paid up, said he was off toward Whitby and then maybe elsewhere, Scarborough or somewhere.
Is that right?
Well, I don't know if it's right, but it's what he told us.
And then I glare at him.
Feel free.
Fails again.
2 points off a success. Oh, Christ alive.
You get the impression that well, so it's not a failure, is it? But it is a failed push roll.
It's a failed push roll. Yeah.
You get the instinct that he's lying. You think he's lying about this?
I think he is too.
I put my stick up underneath his chin.
Oh, God.
And I say, you listen to me, young man. I've been around the world. I've seen things that would make a monkey blush. And I know when someone's yanking my chain.
Lady Marjorie, I try and.
As soon as you touch me,
calm
I go,
down.
Robert is very dear to me. And he would not simply drag a 72-year-old woman all the way out here to the edge of God's country, if this is still God's country.
I quite agree.
And then
Lady
leave me in the
Marjorie.
lurch.
Forgive me, but do you think it might be best to enjoy a quiet drink and have a conversation about this?
And some scrambled eggs.
Right, as this is happening, probably Dr. Henry's the only person to notice the body language of Peter changes substantially. I mean, he's in his 50s. He's quite like burly and tattoo covered. But as soon as that cane comes up under his chin, you see his eyes sort of like... He seems to become relaxed in the face and just open in the body. And you get the impression as a military man that...
Can handle himself.
There's a bit of stuff to this geezer, whoever he is. And obviously he's not going to knock out a 70-odd-year-old woman. But you just see as soon as that cane thwacks him in the throat, he...
Oh, I don't hit him. I just sort of...
Oh, okay. But I think it's even that sort of, like, pulling of authority has produced this effect in him.
Yeah, definitely.
It's quite subtle, but...
And
yeah.
I think Carrickmere has been very conscious of that, because as I'm standing there, I'm thinking... Well, I know that McCutcheon didn't actually even touch Lady Marjorie, but her reaction, her proprioceptive reaction was, "Don't touch me," and I can see that she's a real fire starter herself, and possibly knows her way around a cane. I'm not convinced that he isn't the only one to be worried about in the room, but I think he clocks it and goes, okay, which is enough to make him sort of hold background.
Yeah. You see Jack sort of finish up his schooner of ale and say, thanks Peter, thanks June. And you hear this sort of weedy voice from us, oh, thank you. And he says, I'll see you soon, alright? Hope you enjoy your stay, he says to you guys. And
Peregrine, pay the man for his trouble.
Thank you, most kind. And I get my purse out. And
I had
it's
forgotten.
getting to the point where I feel like I need to be doing credit racing rolls.
Don't worry, Pip. I'll do this one.
Oh, that's very kind.
Can I walk him to the door?
Aye, yeah.
And can I say, my good man, here's a farthing for your trouble.
Aye.
Do you know of any finds in these parts? I mean rock finds. You know, the old beasties that come out when the storms come. Storms bring down rocks and they break open and you'll find the old dragons inside them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, aye.
Aye.
Fossils. And he grins widely. He says, now I don't blame you talking about them as dragons. More half the folks around here don't believe they exist, even though there's 10 a penny tripping over you when you walk down the beach. Aye. Just down the way, opposite the way you came up here, follow that hill down, you're in Boggle Hole itself. That's the best place for finding them dragons of yours.
Sounds perfect, doesn't it?
He says, don't it just, if you're into that sort of thing.
I very much am. Here's another penny for that trouble.
Not at all. You need me, or you need any help, I'm down at the docks most days.
He gets a notebook out
See you later.
and taps it to his forehead as well, and then notes down penny, farthing, expenses for porter, and then draws 2 coins together and looks at them and then draws a line across. No, but and then he just puts them.
You're a brilliant illustrator.
Well,
Anyway.
of course, he does have a habit of sketching.
But
Roll my
Jack
eyes. I roll my eyes at my
shoots
own
off.
character.
and you find yourself, Dr. Henry, out in front of the cliff. It's probably about, I'd say by now, by the time it took you to walk from there, let's say it's 2:30 in the afternoon.
It's 5 p.m. It's dark.
Um,
I can hear a wolf howling. It's fine. I'll just stand there, light a pipe,
No.
wait for it to attack.
Not at all.
No, I know.
In front of you, you can see the horizon line of the sea, that weird shape in front of you that looks like a trig point, and the rest of the house, there seems to be a garden behind it. And you see Jack making his way back towards the town on the left.
Well, I'll probably linger there and have a pipe.
Lovely. So as you're lighting up your pipe, the other two inside, what are you up to?
Well, I'd like to when the drinks turn up.
Yeah. Let's
if
say
they
you
do,
have. Well, you asked for ales,
I'd like-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I asked for an ale, and
I asked for a
I think-
scotch and soda.
and Henry wanted one of each. So I think I'll say, is there a chance you could put on some sort of a bite to eat for lunch for us?
Oh,
Just
aye.
something simple.
What are you after? Fish and chips?
That sounds splendid, to be honest. If that
Grand.
suits you, Lady Marjorie.
Fine. And do you have a jukebox?
No jukebox. We got a record player. We have the old gramophone in the corner there. You're after
Oh,
something
Lady
like
Marjorie, perhaps you'd like to choose a couple of tunes.
No, I don't think so. Do you have a piano?
that. No piano.
Oh, pity.
We got a squeeze box.
Oh, that could do.
Looks like a piano, but it's a bit longer and stretchier.
Can you play the squeeze box, Peregrine?
No, I'm afraid
I
not.
could have a go. Give me the squeeze box.
All right, I'll
Don't you
grab
have
it
a
out
little-
for you. Should
You
have
want the
asked
squeeze box?
Jack to stay. He's a wizard on this. And it crosses it over.
I would like to take out my pint and Henry's pint, and I say, I'll be right back with you, Lady Marjorie. I'll just take Dr. Henry's pint for him.
Very good. Any requests?
Oh, anything you used to play from the days back at Oddchester. I enjoyed everything you played, Lady Marjorie.
The Lord is my shepherd. On the squeeze
That's
box.
one of my favourites. And I
I hate it.
bring Henry's pint out to him.
The Lord is my shepherd.
Yeah, so as this
The
this
door
sort of
opens.
odd, this sort of strange sound of this Lord is my shepherd starts filling out, Peregrine moves outside with Henry's drink. Am I wrong? You find him
That's correct.
lighting his pipe up.
Reverend McCutcheon.
Dr. Henry, your drink. It strikes me that even though Robbie isn't here, given the time of day and, well, the struggle it was for Lady Marjorie to make it up here, I suggest we perhaps spend the night here and maybe head back to Whitby in the morning.
Tell me frankly, your opinion of Robert.
Well, as I mentioned to you, I never met him.
That he inspired something in you, didn't he?
He was a very enthusiastic young man. He was eager and adventurous, and it was exciting to hear his stories about his adventures. But he always seemed a little flighty, so if he sent us those postcards and then 2 days later decided there was somewhere more important he had to be, that I wouldn't necessarily put that past him. Would you?
No, if it was just me, or even if it was just you and me, but to bring Lady Marjorie up here. Well, you were the person who made me realise it first. Back on the steps there, of that there new inn. Why would he do that? That's very specific. He wanted this.
As you're saying that, Peregrine, perhaps you take out the postcard, sort of turn it over in your hands. I don't know, but either way, could you, as you're listening to Dr. Henry, could you give me an intelligence roll?
An idea roll, yeah.
Yeah.
That's I failed it, unfortunately.
It's all right. There's something. You get the impression there's something that you're missing in the postcard, but you're not sure what it is or whether or not you're imagining it because you've been trekking across the moors.
Is it fair to say that he's got his postcard out?
Yeah, I think I.
As I'm talking.
I do, and maybe I say, does your postcard say exactly the same as mine? We maybe swap postcards, both pictures and
exactly. I'll do that.
And maybe in studying the writing, you can both give me an idea roll there.
Well, I've done mine, so I don't feel.
No, that's
fair
true.
to do
Yeah.
it again.
I mean, you get.
Well, actually, no. Maybe that's the push. Maybe that's the push. Is swapping postcards.
Yeah, great. The push is studying it to see if it has the same.
An extreme success from
nice.
me.
Oh, okay.
That was a worthwhile push.
Excellent. With an extreme success, you suddenly, in looking at it and trying to study it to make sure it's the exact same as yours, you realise it's the same hand. Obviously, it's not printed; it's handwritten. But you also, because you've been pen pals with him for so long and never actually met him in person, you immediately realise the flick of the Y's and the G's are different. And you realise almost immediately that this is not his handwriting. It's like someone imitating his handwriting.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
And as you realise that, sort of cold sense of dread floods through you. And you also get the impression that, although he's quite flighty and quite energetic, and this seems in his sort of tone of humour, you know, the odd little broken sentences, you get the impression that there's something else there, something hidden, you're missing something. But regardless of that, he has not written this postcard. And when you take yours back up again, he hasn't written either of them.
I think I'm just studying.
It's similar enough that on a cold read, it's completely reasonable you'd think it was him. But in studying it with an extreme success, you realise, no, there's something off.
What is it, man? You look pale.
I feel so foolish. I don't believe this is Robbie's hand.
What do you mean? I'm pretty sure it is. Do you mean like compared?
No.
Although now you mention it, why would he write the same thing?
Say I've never met the man. I've only communicated with him through letters. Several letters a year, sometimes one a month or more for the past 20 years maybe, and this isn't his handwriting.
Is that so? I think he looks out to the trig point, even though he's clearly still paying attention. He sort of his mind is drawn to this strange shape on the high ground.
It does draw the eye, because it's directly between you and the horizon, and the cliff top's so flat. It does keep drawing the eye. And while you're sort of having this discussion, Lady Helen inside, Peter bustles back through with a 3 plates of fish and chips and says, "There you go, before it gets cold." And he sort of sticks them down on a sort of little table in the centre of the room. Do you want to, while you've been waiting, sort of resting your legs, I imagine, your varicose veins throbbing.
Oh, yes.
Do you want to do me a spot hidden in the room?
Ooh.
A woman on the inside.
Oh, now then. That looks very bad, but I'm willing to push the roll.
Yes. How are you pushing
A
it?
lot of pushing going on.
Putting on your horn rimmed glasses and...
I'm playing the squeeze box and and singing, so I think I'll start incorporating a little jig around the room.
Excellent.
So I get a chance to look at everyone, and they're kind of
What a
hopefully
fucking
distracted
image.
by the song if they're joining in. I don't know who's here.
Well, is there anyone else in there?
No, at the moment, well, actually, June's come back through, and she does start clapping along in a sort of timid sort of way.
Jesus
Sort of
Christ.
like, oh, lovely.
June,
Oh, it's been
fucking
so
hell.
long since we've had music in the house.
I can tell you that is a very narrow success.
Okay. So, you don't notice anything more than the fact that you keep passing the mantelpiece, and it's all very cluttered. There's scatter cushions and throws everywhere. It's like a sort of reverse version of you, with all your scarves and things. But on passing the mantelpiece a couple of times, you do realise that there are various portraits, sort of photographs of a young man, but they seem to dominate the mantelpiece. 5 or 6 of them, and you also notice a little memorial card tucked behind one of them.
Well, if I can surreptitiously have a look once I've put my squeeze box down and everyone's politely clapped.
Please.
I'll have...
Oh, very nice, very nice. Play Over the Ocean, that's my favourite.
I don't do requests.
Oh, sorry.
Could you go and get my associates and tell them that the dinner is ready?
Oh, indeed, yes. And June sort of hurries outside.
And as soon as she does, I'll have a look at this consolation card, whatever it is.
So the memorial card, it has a picture on it as well, and it's roughly drawn, but you can tell it's the same young man from the photographs. And it says, in memoriam, Billy Crow, 23 years old. And then there's just various hymns and things. But yeah, that's all the sort of pertinent information you get before the other two. I imagine you're following June in. She sort of bursts out into the garden and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, the fish is ready."
Oh, excellent.
Oh, very good.
Quick before it swims away. And she drifts back up the stairs.
Excuse me, as she leaves.
Oh, yes.
I think we will be staying the night. Is that
Oh,
right? I turn to Henry, and I give him a very meaningful look.
He nods and strokes his big full beard and says, "Aye, that's right. We'll be staying the night, all 3 of us."
Oh, perfect. Well, I'll make your rooms up. I'll give you the ones on the first floor because, well, your lady friend, she. Anyway, I'll make the rooms up.
Would it be possible? Sorry, this is a strange request, but Mr. Thompson was such a dear friend of mine. Would it be possible to have the same room as he had? I imagine his
yes.
taste for the view would have been exceptional.
Absolutely.
I'd love to.
That's the room at the front of the house. Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
I'll...
If that's all right with you two,
Of course,
Henry,
yes.
Lady Marjorie. Yes, please. Thank you.
Of course.
Well, I'll make them up and bring you your keys. Your dinner's through there. And she
Very
scurries
kind.
off upstairs.
Do they have a dog?
Interesting you should ask that. Are you sort of trying to work out if they have a dog?
I am now actively looking for one.
Well, as you move through to the sitting room area,
Or signs of one.
there are dog hairs on a lot of the furniture. So,
Didn't say they have a dog.
It's a good answer and a terrifying one. Much worse than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You can't tell.
to be transparent rather than wildly opaque. I'm looking to try and put some of my food down so that the dog will eat it, to see if it foams at the mouth and falls over unconscious. Because I've got a wee bit nervous about eating my fish and chips now.
Yeah.
And I know
Well,
I'm being a bit paranoid, but that's the problem with the post-Sudan world.
No. Press the old, put some on the side plate and put it down. See what happens.
I would, if you do that, are you maybe making it clear why you're doing that?
I think I do. I think he's no actor, as you can tell, and he makes obvious eyes at McCutcheon several times to sort of look meaningfully at his bread and butter plate, and he puts his bread and butter on his fish, but he doesn't touch it. He doesn't eat it. He puts it down, and he breaks off a bit of each thing and puts it down, and goes. I wonder if they've got a fine hound here.
Can you give me a luck roll?
Yeah. No. It's good to tell you a 99.
Oh God.
Wow.
And what's your luck?
45.
45. Oh, that is a fumble.
It's my lowest.
As you perhaps
It's my
too
lowest.
loudly sort of say,
Yeah.
I'm just putting this on it.
He's anxious.
Um,
So he's blown his cover.
Peter walks back through from the kitchen, and you've literally just placed it on the floor, and he steps on it and slips on the side plate and goes down with a bit of a clatter. And as he's on the floor, he's sort of saying, "What the fuck? Who put that there? Jesus Christ! If you don't like the food, just fucking tell us.
No.
You have to put plants all over the."
I'm so
bastard
sorry. I'm so
floor.
sorry. I put it down for the dog. I didn't mean.
What dog?
I thought you had a dog.
No.
Oh, you're thinking of the last place, Dr. Henry. It
Well,
was the inn in town where they had
was
a
it the
dog.
new-
Trip me up
inn.
again, you'll be thinking of the last place.
I'm sorry, sir. Can I help you up?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, let's get out of the way. He sort of picks up the broken plate and says, I'll get rid of this, but, just... I don't want any fucking about, alright? I'll get you another ale.
Wow,
Yeah.
what service.
Yeah.
Does he
Yorkshire for
actually
you.
say, this is the guy who's loose?
Got an actual aristocrat
This
staying
is the
here.
guy who's loose and easy in combat, right? This is the guy who's
Yeah.
useful. I narrow my eyes at him. I mean, I'm a 6-footer, and for once I'm not exaggerating the height. I'm quite thin. But I narrow my
Yeah.
eyes at him and say, I don't think that's the way to speak in front of a lady. Pal.
I'm gonna do a little roll.
Oh, God.
He,
How did you
He
roll
sort
on your
of
class consciousness?
he narrows his eyes equally, and then he sort of you see him breathe out and just collect the shards of the plate in his hand and say, "You're right, of course. I'm sorry. Sorry, milady. I didn't mean any offence. I just took my shoulder out, winded me slightly. We've no dog, so." Don't worry about putting food out. I'm sorry for the language. And he moves back off into the kitchen.
My mistake. Apologies. And breathe.
Will you finish your food? Or have you eaten your
I
food?
don't know whether we've started it yet first.
What's Lady Helen Marjorie Pajama Potts done with her food? Because I haven't said anything to her.
Oh, I've just been sat there, watching it go cold because no one's eating.
I would like to. I mean, would you allow me maybe a hard natural world roll to see whether I can tell whether the food is whether the fish is fresh at least, whether the
I mean, you give me a hard natural world roll to work out if it is a halibut. I'm not sure if. Yeah,
Well,
okay.
that's the start.
Yeah.
That's the start. I imagine just a standard natural world roll would tell me if it's a halibut.
Yeah, true. I mean, it is fried, but
Ah, well, that's a standard natural world roll.
it's sole.
Oh,
So it's actually
delicious.
a bit better than what they were selling it.
Yeah.
They've obviously not put a huge amount of thought into what fish they're cooking, but you also get the impression that I mean, it doesn't look odd, it doesn't look off to you. The
I'm going to
smell's
have a
right.
taste of it. I'm just going to have a little taste of it.
Do so.
Are we alone? Is it just the
Can
three
you
of us?
roll? Can you roll sanity for me? Because you've just ingested. No, I'm joking. It tastes fine. In fact, it tastes better than fine. It tastes fucking delicious. It's like the freshest fried fish you've had in so long. Mouth-watering.
I report to the others that it tastes pretty good to me.
All right. Well,
Well, then let's tuck in.
in for a penny, in for a pound, eh?
It's still relatively
And
warm.
after
So
all,
yeah.
I've already drunk half my pint.
Yeah, actually.
And
It's at that point.
Peter hears you say this, and he says, "Oh, you liking it? The local drop?
Yes. What's the name of that?
Oh, it's called the Ghost Vessel.
Oh, very original. I like that.
Aye.
I should make a note of it.
Do you want? I mean, the barrel's almost out on that one. Is there you a connoisseur, as it were, of the ales?
Well, I wouldn't say a connoisseur, but I won't have another. I'd like to keep my head clear. We might have a walk along the cliff tops, and best to do that.
Okay. He looks
without
slightly
too many-
disappointed and sort of turns to the others and says, "Anyone for another?"
Well, I feel like I should stand you one after the accident. Why don't we both have one?
Oh well, don't worry about that. What's your tipple? What's your favourite? I've got a selection, you know. We have a cellar.
Oh, is that right?
Aye.
Maybe I should take a look.
Oh well, you wouldn't be able to see much. It's dark as fuck.
Oh, you
and
mean
there's just barrels?
I see.
They're not labelled.
Sorry, I misunderstood. No, fine. Another barrel. It sounds like a good idea, even if we're off for a walk on the cliff.
Dark, pale, light, hail.
I liked this pale. It was nice. No, I picked up your
Aye.
accent.
And
I would.
he sort of says, "All right then." He looks a bit chuffed. To be fair, he's like, "Ah, good." You can tell he's like, all he really wants. You get the impression is to find someone to have a drink with who likes talking about drink. And he sort of makes his way back to the kitchen, and you only see like his back half.
And I'll have a porter.
Porter, aye.
Porter.
And you see him lift up a hatch in the floor in the kitchen and descend. So there you are. Unless you want to say anything about what you've sort of gleaned or discovered. After a while, he comes back up and he's got another mini sort of keg on his shoulder, and he starts plumbing it into the thing. And he's like, "That'll take a while. First couple of pints will be pure foam, but this is a good one."
I will eat my fish and chips.
So you've all eaten your meal, let's say. You feel rejuvenated. The best fish and chips you've ever had. Which is remarkable considering who made it and where you are. And you realise it's like
And why?
maybe 3:30 in the afternoon. You've still got like a good 2 hours till dark hits. But some of you have found certain revelations, of course. And I don't know whether you want to... oh yeah, at that point, as you finish, Peter takes your plates away and June sort of comes in and goes, your rooms are ready, so here you are. This is yours, and this is yours, and this is yours. They're all first floor. Yes, I hope you enjoy. Let me know if there's anything you need.
Thank you. Very kind.
Oh, that's all right. I hope the food was adequate. And she sort of shuffles off. She seems
wait
very
a minute.
homely and sort of... Oh, yes.
Would you mind dragging my steamer trunk up to my room, please?
Oh, no, of course. She.
And be careful with it. It's got a Lee Enfield in it.
Oh, Lee Enfield's in it, is he? Okay.
He will be one day.
Whenever you're discussing, you just see this sort of frail old woman dragging step by step this steamer trunk up the narrow staircase.
Boom.
Oh dear! I bet Captain Cook never had to do that. There you all are. You've finished your meal. You know it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours before dark. Two of you have had a sort of outside while smoking. You've had a revelation about thinking that the writing may not be Robert after all.
Yeah,
And,
I don't
Lady
personally.
Helen.
I don't feel.
Yeah.
I don't feel ready to share that information with Lady Marjorie.
Well, I've had a strong idea, probably because I went down for another beer, as well as that's why I'm slightly out of breath, and because of the vastness of the Norfolk mansion. You see, well, I've gone northern. Hello there. But I've got a strong idea, and I don't want to get in the way of 20 glorious minutes of Dominic Allen's role playing. What I want to say is, I want to say to McCutcheon as we're going up, the Reverend, I want to say, Reverend, why don't you tell Lady Marjorie the situation? And I'll go and make an inquiry about the account book as to whether our names are down. Try and find the room that Robert was in.
That's a very good idea. I am. Hopefully, I'm in the room that he was in. That was certainly my plan. And I was going to suggest also that we had a look at the guest book to see whether there was evidence of anyone staying at the same time as him. So perhaps I will escort Lady Marjorie to her room, settle her, have a look in my room, and yes, if you want to peruse the guest book for any information you can find about Robbie's stay and people who might have been staying at the same time, I think that's an excellent idea.
Did you say that you wanted his room?
Yeah, I asked for his room.
You did, didn't you?
So I don't know whether they've given me his room, but I asked for
June said she would give you his room, which was the one overlooking the front.
Yeah, well, I know she said that.
Whether or not that's true, who knows? But
Yeah, but certainly I hope that I'm in his room.
So you're not sharing
Anyway,
your worries about the postcard with Lady Marjorie just yet?
not yet, but I think maybe I'm about to, based on Dr. Henry's suggestion.
So, yes.
But yeah, I think your idea, Joseph and Dr. Henry, that you have a look at the guest book for anything you can garner is a very good one. So I'll help Lady Marjorie up the stairs.
Is it bedtime?
Well, if you would like a rest, Lady Marjorie, of course it's.
What time is it? It's about 3:30.
At this point, Peter comes back out of the trapdoor in the kitchen. You hear it slam closed, and he says, "Well, I've got another cask of that pale. Are you off to bed? Bit early, isn't it?"
No, we're just. It would be nice to see our rooms. You know, we've only just arrived.
Oh, aye.
We're just going to get settled.
Excellent. Well, I'll have a
We'll be back down.
pint of nut brown ale waiting for you down here,
I've got a pint of my own up there.
and maybe a sherry for Mrs. All right.
That sounds delightful. Lady Marjorie, please.
I just want to make something very clear. My husband gave his life to keep parts of China in the Empire.
I see. You couldn't keep the old teapot then.
I go. You have to feel the pressure as I try to get down the stairs.
Physically restrain her. Lady Marjorie, please, let me escort you to your room, and we can talk about some of these things.
We must. I knew we should have stayed at the New Inns.
Absolutely, I agree. Terribly impertinent, I say, but like leaning back and sort of winking at Peter to try and make him realise this is just something I'm happy to say.
Peter
And
sort of. I think he returns your look and then starts plumbing in the new barrel.
And I
Says, "Sorry, didn't mean to cause any offence. We're
No.
local sorts. We don't really understand much about what you're talking about."
Well, I hope for June's sake that her husband isn't trampled by ostriches.
Well, I hope for my own sake he's not either.
Do you think you're funny?
No, I'm just telling you that I'm June's husband.
I do know that. I'd worked that one out. I'm a great lover
Oh,
of detective fiction.
And I shoot
That's
myself in the head.
I imagine this conversation is happening while Peregrine and I are like nearly at the top of the stairs, so we're doing it through the banisters.
Through the banisters, yeah. You can only see half of his face.
And all he can see is my swollen ankles.
Meanwhile, Dr. Henry's sort of waiting in the sitting room with his pipe like, fuck this. Or is he? As you guys clear the landing, and you've been given your keys, you know which way you're heading. There's only 3 doors on
So I
the first floor.
start by showing Lady Marjorie to her room and opening her door and helping her in.
Downstairs, Henry can hear the heavy tread of my footsteps on the floorboards above. Bits of dust.
You realise that both the keys you've been given open all 3 of the doors on this floor. So they're clearly just They're just copies of the same key.
What a wretched place.
So you let Lady Marjorie into her room.
We appear to be the only guests, so don't worry. We will defend your honour, Lady Marjorie.
Well,
I say with a sort of wry smile.
You'll have to push my steamer up against the door.
He stops himself from making some innuendo-based comment about pushing her steamer up against the door.
Even for a reverend, that's low hanging fruit.
Even for a reverend, it was really asking. He had to really work very hard.
But you manage it, let's say, and you make your way in, and both of you find, Lady Helen is very bare. It's, you've got a little dresser, you've got a bed, single bed, you've got a little oil lamp on the side by your bed, but other than that, it's just a window, and that's your lot. And you find your room pretty much the same, Peregrine, except it overlooks the cliff, and there's still light in the sky. So, looking out, you see the cliff edge and the sea and the trig point and the woods and sort of an edge of the town to your left.
There's a few things I'd like to do in my room, but maybe you want to go to Dr. Henry first downstairs. Not like that.
So while Peregrine furiously masturbates, Dr. Henry, what are you doing?
Could you leave first, please, Reverend?
Oh, in my own room. Yes.
Oh, right, so sorry. I think the altercation, the infamous Battle of the Stairs, probably isn't long enough for me to go over and look at the accounts book, because I haven't seen the accounts book yet.
We're not quite sure where it is,
exactly.
to be fair.
So I think I wait until that's completed, and then I say to our good host. Oh Christ, I've forgotten his name already. I haven't been taking notes.
Peter.
I say to Peter, would it be all right if I do a little bit of paperwork with you? I have to make clear claims for Cambridge when I get back. This is an academic duty that I'm currently on. By which I mean to say receipts and.
Aye, of course, yeah. No bother.
Shall I sign in?
Well,
Perhaps that's not what your guests do.
We tend to go by the by. If you'd like to sign in, I'm sure I can find you a book to sign in with, but we don't like to.
It would just be my name in it.
Well, perhaps we don't like to enforce it upon our guests. Some of them travelling on the coast, they're not keen on knowing. You know how it is, I'm sure. But
Well, if you...
well, I can certainly furnish you with the receipts and things of that matter.
Aye, I think that would be the most useful thing, if that's all right with you.
Aye.
I'll pay.
Well,
I'll pay in advance.
I'll get
so.
my notepad. And he shuffles out of the room. And as he does so, could you do me a spot hidden as well, where you are?
I haven't done one. That's true. Oh, good. 16. Yes, it's a good pass.
So you notice what Lady Helen noticed earlier. You notice an inordinate amount of photos and portraits of a young man on the mantelpiece. You also notice a slightly askew memorial card, which looks like someone's propped it back in rather rapidly. But that's what you see. I mean, the impression you get, I don't think you need to necessarily do an idea roll. Maybe you do. I imagine the impression both of you got is that there's some personal connection there. Perhaps it's their son, or something along those lines.
They're certainly of the right age, right, to have had
yeah.
a son of. But by memorial card, does it look official, or does it look like a kind of? Is it a sentimental?
It looks pretty. It looks official. It looks like there was a funeral, but it's not exactly high quality, glossy paper. It's pretty much handwritten. As you're looking at this, Peter bustles back into the room with a notepad and stuff, and he says, "Right, well, let's get you sorted then. You're a military man."
I served for 2 years out in the Sudan.
Aye.
Yourself?
You can never ever hide it, you know.
No.
I knew that the moment you walked in.
Aye, it's the thing sometimes you'd like to hide, isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't know personally.
Oh no.
I've had my dealings with the military, but never been a member. Full respect and all that. And he starts jotting down there. So, how many nights are you spending here?
Well, let's say 2 for me, and
Let's go with 2.
And I'll of course cover the Reverend McCutcheon's room as well tonight.
Excellent.
And I'll allow Lady Marjorie to, act on her own independent vote regarding her payments.
Excellent. Well, there's no rush. You can pay at the end, but if you'd rather pay now, that's grand by me. And he passes you a receipt, and it looks pretty much... It's very simplistic.
Yeah.
It's 3 nights.
And it was all...
Oh, no, it's 2 nights.
And it was all
3
from the
folks.
back. It was all from the back. He didn't get anything out from under the counter or anything like that. Okay.
Meanwhile, while you're looking over those, Perry, could you? What are you doing up in your room other than?
I would
wanking
like
like a
to
bastard?
do. I would like to do a spot hidden.
Yeah.
I would like to scour the room for any evidence of a previous guest. Ideally.
Yeah.
I'd like to look in the drawer. If there are any drawers, I'd like to look at the drawers.
There's
I'd like to
a
look
couple
under
of
the
little
bed.
drawers,
I'd like to
yeah.
look in the wardrobe. I would like to look everywhere. And I would like to look with the focus and the specificity of someone combing a 1 foot square patch of grass to count the number of earwigs and woodlice and ladybirds they can see. That's how.
I love it.
I don't care how long it takes me. And that's just a regular success. But I could spend some luck to make it a...
If you're spending
hard
time
success.
on it, I can sort of take that into account. If you're saying I'm going over it with a fine tooth comb, a regular success is sort of fine.
Yeah,
Let's
okay.
trade accuracy for time, and say,
Maybe
Yes.
maybe we should cut from that because it's taking him so long. Maybe we should cut down to Lady Marjorie
Margulies.
and see what she does for the last 3 minutes that she can stay awake.
Yeah. So you're in your room and you've shed your 20 scarves.
I have not.
I see. What are you doing? I mean, you seem pretty annoyed that Robert hadn't met you there. You seem pretty cut up about that. Is that like Robert, or has he changed? Maybe. I mean, obviously, there's various things that could have happened, but how are you feeling about it? Is there anything you wanna?
It seems to me, not knowing what I don't know, that he stayed at this guest house, and he was so shocked as I am by the rudeness of the staff that he has simply moved elsewhere and will send word in a day or two, possibly. So we may have to just suck it up for now. But I am curious as to why that boy said that he doesn't come here. I don't believe it's because it's a long walk, because I made it and I have to walk on 2 sticks. So why was that 9-year-old boy not welcome in this house? While I'm sat in my bed taking my laudanum. Right.
Turns out you're not the only one. More on that later.
It helps with the night sweats.
The night terrors. Oh no, sweat, sorry.
I go to sleep in a bed, I wake up in the bath. Right.
I go to sleep in the bed. I wake up.
It aids the sweats.
I wake up in that pit again, doing that thing that I had to do to get out of the pit.
With the multi-faced bastard.
I will go and knock on Peregrine's door.
Ah. So you slunch out of bed and squanch over to the door at the far end of the first floor. You're aware there's
the digitally enhanced Star Wars films where suddenly you see Jabba the Hutt walking.
Yeah, with his big feet. And you're aware there's another floor above you. There is another thin staircase above, but you've been told there's no one else staying here. And you make your way to the end, and you're facing out over the bay, and you knock on the door. And Peregrine, you hear that knock. To be fair, it's such confined space that Henry, you probably hear that knock as well, although it's not on your door. But there you are.
Do I hear this while I'm still searching my room? I guess
yes,
I do.
I'd say so. And what was... Sorry, yes, I should go back to that. What was your result on searching your room?
It was just a regular success on my spot hidden.
You get the impression that the room is impeccably tidy compared to the rooms downstairs. As in, surprisingly tidy for what else you've seen of the house.
Either they've cleaned it up,
which could be good or bad.
To get rid of all evidence, or that's the ship that they run. Upstairs is really neat and downstairs is homely.
Well, what is my room like? Is my room really neat?
Your room was pretty impeccable. You haven't done a roll on it, but it seemed very just, none of it downstairs feels lived in. Upstairs feels not lived in. Yeah.
Well, I knock on the door anyway.
Well, I hear the knock and I open the door and I say, Lady Marjorie, please come in.
Peregrine, let me ask you a question. If you were writing a postcard to me, how would you address it?
Lady Marjorie.
No. You'd put Barmere. We're on Barmere.
Well, perhaps as of earlier today, but certainly when I haven't seen since school days, so it would be Lady Marjorie. But that's beside the point.
I'm sure it would be no surprise.
Dr. Henry, you can hear this sort of whispered conversation next door. So if you want to, during this, sort of make your way towards the room, either stealthily or not stealthily.
I actually thought I was still downstairs, but if I've gone up to my room...
Oh, you may well be.
Yeah, because I was sorting out accounts.
Peter came back out with the ale.
Well,
I was assuming he had just written you a couple of receipts. And he was very remiss to give you any... He sort of said, there's no guest book. We take it by faith.
Fine, yeah, I was just going to ask for his signature. That's what I was going to ask for on my receipt.
Oh, yeah. He gives you a signature and says it's a bit of a squiggle, but you can see it sort of represents Peter Cruel or something.
And then, I mean, just I didn't really want to interrupt what was going on there because I really liked what was going on upstairs, but I did want to try and get a little bit more handwriting and kind of say, would it be all right if you could declare the purpose of the visit?
Aye. What would you like me to say?
Academic study. That's to say,
Right.
fossils. Fossils.
How do you
fossil
spell
hunting.
academic?
Fossil hunting will do.
Oh, fossils. And he writes it, but he's writing sort of like with the pen in his fist. He's writing in capitals, and he doesn't look like... It certainly doesn't resemble the writing on the postcard, let alone any sort of handwriting you'd see at Cambridge. But he sort of writes out these postcards and says, there you are. If that'll do you for tonight.
Perfect.
It's still a bit early. You'll be down for a drink in a bit.
Right, definitely. Give us 5 minutes and I'll be back down for another pint.
Excellent. So just to finish that off, let's say you're heading upstairs as this conversation is happening, and you might hear the whispered discussion. So back to very briefly back to Peregrine and Lady Helen Marjorie.
So what would you not address me as?
Excuse me, Helen.
Exactly. And then I hold up the postcard.
Well...
Do you think it's a joke on his part?
I suspect it may be... I lower my voice again and I say, I suspect it may, unfortunately, Lady Marjorie, be something a little more sinister than that.
What?
I'm of the belief that this is not his handwriting at all.
I walk him over to the window and lower my voice even further. You do realise what this means, don't you, Reverend?
No.
Well, it means that...
I don't have a clue.
This is some sort of trap. I don't know why they've trapped you and the doctor, but I've always had a fear, being an aristocratic lady, that someone might attempt to abduct me and use me to get money or extortion or blackmail or something like that. This is a trap. This is a trap. We're in a trap. It's a horrible trap. We should leave this house hell at once.
Well, I don't know whether we can leave this house at once.
The keys open all the doors. There's something...
Yes.
What? Who's upstairs? There's another layer to all of this. We should go and check at once. We should get the doctor and go and check. We should open all the doors.
Dr. Henry, are you hearing this?
I knock on the door at that point, but very softly.
Oh my God, they're here. They come to kill us. They'll cut my fingers off first and send them back to someone. But I don't have any...
I do beg your pardon, Lady Marjorie. Might I have a word?
Yes, come in.
I try the door.
So you enter, and they're both there, sort of acting casual. But whatever impression you get from that is up to you. But
I close the door behind me and I walk towards them. And I say, very softly, I tried to see an account book. Tried to find Robbie's name here, but there's no sign of such a thing. They have no records. The man can barely write. I overheard what you said. It does feel very much like a trap.
Yes. I feel like we should know as much as possible about this place before we leave. Who's that boy in the pictures downstairs? Their son. Did he die?
I assumed it was their son.
Who died?
Listen,
as soon as you say, I assumed that was their son, you hear what you assume instantly and primally is rats in the walls.
For fuck's sake.
I'm sorry, Dan.
not again.
You hear a scurrying above you and a sort of shuffling on the floorboards and the floor above you. And you sort of look up, and as you look up, it stops again. It's like a brief, momentary thing, as if something has just shuffled across the membrane of your brain. And unless any of you want to do a... I mean, Dom, were you going to push that literacy roll, or...
Oh, it was a psychology roll, really.
Oh, psychology roll. In which case, yes, nothing else is gleaned, but...
I will push it. I'll hold it up to Dr. Henry, and I'll say, look at this.
Okay, in which case I'd say maybe Dr. Henry, you get to do a little roll on, like, idea. at the same time as Lady Helen is pushing her roll.
That's a 95.
You're just livid.
43 or something. 43.
It's not a fumble though.
No,
is it?
96 is
No.
a fumble.
You're still just
Thank God.
obscenely angry that he's referred to you as Helen. You can't see how it could be a joke,
I think
even though he's a cheeky chappy.
I think I'm so taken aback. I don't quite know what to make of any of it, and also I'm still thrown by this scrabbling sound that I had, because being stuck in that pit in Sudan, there were rats around, and I was in there for a couple of days, and we all had to do what we did to get out of it. But the truth of it is, I've rolled a 95 as well. Amazing, 2 95s in the same roll. So I think he
Well,
just,
there's something
he
about
just sort of steps back.
the fact the postcard keeps coming up. You're convinced it's not from Robert, but the more you look at it, the less sure you are of anything, and you're finding it more and more confusing. And in fact, as she holds it up and sort of says, "Look at this," you turn as you're all stood around the window, the sort of bay window, looking at the front, and you see the trig point, this block, but there's something atop it, like a sort of a signal marker. It looks like a sort of a straight thing with a thing out to the side, a sort of wavering mast. And as you look closer, you realise it's like the scarecrows you saw earlier, but sort of as if someone slotted it into the top of the trig point. It seems slightly askew and slightly waving with the wind, but you're sure it's facing you, although you can't see its eyes, and it only has one arm. And as you look at it, the arm, as if there's been a gust of wind that you can't hear, suddenly is raised to the sky, and it's sort of as if it's giving this disjointed wave towards all of you in the guest house. And maybe that's where we'll leave it as the sun touches the horizon and darkness sets on.